Sylvia Brown predicted that 2026 will be the best year in the lives of these zodiac signs. For many years now, I have been researching the depths of esoteric layers where traces of the world's most powerful seers have been left. And today, I will reveal to you one of the most resonant prophecies. Sylvia Brown claimed that for certain zodiac signs, 2026 will bring the breakthrough they have been waiting for decades. This is not just a period of change. It is a moment when inner potential will be realized in its highest form. In this video, I will tell you who exactly will be affected and why 2026 will be a turning point for these people, raising them to a new level of power, confidence, and fulfillment. I am not talking about general phrases, but about clear, profound characteristics that every representative of their sign will be able to recognize. What Sylvia Brown predicted is of immense value, and my job as a channel and researcher of the future is to convey this information to you as accurately, professionally, and authentically as possible. If you want to find out if you are one of the lucky ones, stay with me. Subscribe so you don't miss insights that could change your vision of 2026. Today, we will open the door to what is already being prepared for the chosen ones. Aries. For Aries, this prophecy, attributed to Sylvia Brown, sounds like a clear plan of action for the most successful year of their life. 2026 will be a period when constant inattention and the feeling of "I am capable of more" will finally take concrete form, produce results, and bring rewards. Aries will not wander in guesswork. They will see the cause and effect relationships between their decisions and events, and understand that they often underestimated the power of their own will in the past. This year, their persistence will cease to be just a character trait, and will become a tool that opens doors that have long remained closed. The professional sphere will come to the fore for Aries in 2026. What previously seemed stagnant will suddenly begin to move forward. People of this sign will have the opportunity to change their place of work, position, or even field of activity, but the main difference from previous years is that they will not do so chaotically. Decisions will be well considered, backed up by facts and a clear strategy. Instead of impulsive leaps, Aries will begin to build a consistent growth trajectory, from understanding their key competencies to positioning themselves as experts. It is in this year that they will finally be able to move from the category of promising to irreplaceable, and their name will begin to be associated with results. Money will cease to be a source of constant internal tension and proof of their own ability for Aries. In 2026, the financial situation will stabilize, but not because of random wins or isolated strokes of luck, but thanks to systematic decisions. Representatives of this sign will learn to look at income differently. Instead of simply wanting to earn more, they will strive to structure, plan, and protect what they already have. There will be additional sources of income that they had only thought about before: freelancing, consulting, and small personal projects that currently seem secondary. Over time, these secondary areas will begin to strengthen their main business rather than distract from it. In terms of personal boundaries, Aries will act very differently in 2026 than before. If in previous years they often spent time and energy on people who did not reciprocate or appreciate their contribution, now the situation will change. They will realize that loyalty does not mean tolerance of devaluation. Aries will begin to weed out contacts that drag them down and leave only those in their life with whom they can move forward, grow, and exchange knowledge, experience, and resources. This will not be cold detachment. It will be a mature, adult approach to their own time, energy, and mental health. Relationships are one of the key areas where Aries will feel how different 2026 is from previous years, where there used to be conflict, competition for dominance, and an inability to agree. There will now be a willingness to listen and reason rather than simply insist. Aries' current partner will see that they are no longer with an impulsive, fiery companion, but with someone who is able to take a punch, provide support, and take responsibility. If a representative of this sign is single, it is during this period that they will begin to attract a completely different type of person. Not those who are only interesting at the beginning, but those with whom it is possible to build long-term goals together. The inner need to prove their worth through drama will disappear, replaced by a calm confidence that they have something to offer both emotionally and intellectually. The topic of health and physical condition will be of particular importance. Aries, who are used to ignoring the signals of their own body, will change their approach in 2026. Not out of fear, but out of the realization that resources are not infinite. And if they are not maintained, even the best opportunities will not be realized. They will begin to pay attention to sleep patterns, nutrition, regular activity, and preventive examinations. The discipline they previously applied to work will be transferred to self-care. As a result, endurance and clarity of thought will increase, and there will be more inner strength to withstand high loads without breakdowns. For the inner world of Aries, this year will be a period when the feeling that they are not made for this world, or always in the wrong place and with the wrong people, disappears. They will begin to see that their straightforwardness, quick reactions, and intolerance of lies and injustice are not flaws, but clear tools that need to be used correctly. Instead of self-criticism, such as "I am too harsh," a constructive formula will emerge. I can be direct, but at the same time, respect the boundaries of others. From this balance, authority is born, not imposed, but recognized by others. In 2026, Aries will truly feel that their opinion matters. At work, not only junior colleagues will turn to them for advice, but also management, who will see them as someone capable of quickly assessing risks and proposing realistic solutions. Among friends, they will cease to play the role of the one who is always ready to support any adventure, and will gradually become the one who sets the tone of conversations, formulates plans, and proposes concrete steps. Authority will be built not on fear or domination, but on stability, predictability, and the ability to see things through to the end. The theme of self-realization in 2026 will go far beyond the standard notions of success. For Aries, this will be the year when they finally allow themselves to do what they have been thinking about for a long time, but have been putting off. Launch a personal project, create a product, go public with their ideas, record a course, start a blog, channel, or other format where they can share their experience. The fear of criticism will not disappear completely, but it will cease to guide their decisions. Doubts will be replaced by the understanding that if they remain silent, no one will know what they are capable of. And this year, they will receive the first clear confirmation that their approach, way of thinking, and vision are valuable to other people. Decisions related to their place of residence, environment, and space will become very important. Aries may change cities, neighborhoods, homes, workplaces, or even countries, but these changes will not be based on escape, as may have been the case in the past. These will be thoughtful steps, guided by a single logic. I need an environment that does not hinder me, but empowers me. They will begin to choose not only people, but also spaces where they feel concentration, inspiration, and the ability to focus. The inner need to endure inconvenience for the sake of others' comfort will disappear. Instead, there will be a desire to create conditions in which they can be as effective as possible. In 2026, Aries will have a different attitude toward mistakes. Whereas previously, Every failure was perceived as confirmation that they rushed again or did something wrong. Now, every mistake will be analyzed coldly and constructively. They will learn to separate their personality from the result. A failed project will no longer equal, "I am a failure." This will give them the freedom to experiment without the paralyzing fear of failure. It is at such moments, when others stop because of doubts, that Aries will take a step forward and achieve what at first glance seemed unattainable. The sphere of learning and competence development will also be actively manifested. Aries, who has long been putting off courses, certifications, and new skills, will realize in 2026 that every hour invested in development directly translates into future opportunities. They will not study something just in case, but will choose exactly those areas that strengthen their position: management, negotiation, financial literacy, technical skills, or specialized knowledge in their profession. This year will make them not just an employee, but a figure who can influence processes. An important marker of the best year will be an inner sense of calm, which was previously a rare guest in the life of Aries. Not because all problems will disappear, but because a clear understanding will emerge. He is capable of coping with challenges. Where anger or disappointment used to flare up instantly, in 2026 there will be a pause in which they will have time to ask themselves a specific question: "What can I do right now?" and find the answer. This is adult confidence, not in words, but in real actions. For Aries, this year will be a turning point, after which they will stop perceiving themselves as someone who will definitely succeed someday. They will stop living only in the future and start doing what they have been putting off for many years. Procrastination will be minimized. Instead of passively waiting for the right moment, they will develop the ability to create that moment through their own actions. This is the true power of the period that is called the best in their life. Not that everything suddenly becomes easy, but that Aries finally uses their character as a resource rather than a problem, and sees how reality responds to this with concrete opportunities, a new level of income, better relationships, and a deeper sense of their own significance. In Sylvia Brown's vision, Taurus will reach a completely different level of quality of life in 2026, where he previously agreed to compromises, restrictions, and the way things are. There will be a clear line, a focus on stable prosperity, comfort, and self-respect. This year will not seem like a sharp leap into the unknown for them. On the contrary, each month will gradually build a solid foundation on which Taurus will be able to stand calmly, work, and plan. The strength of the forecast lies in the fact that 2026 will combine a financial breakthrough, inner confidence, and a deep sense of, "I am finally living the way I deserve." In January, Taurus will start the year with a systematic review of their life. They will not waste time on empty promises, but will lay out real figures, facts, and obligations on the table. They will have a clear view of how much they earn, what they spend, and how much energy goes into the work they do. It is in January that they will make important decisions: which projects to close and which to strengthen, which contacts to end and which to deepen. Taurus will understand that without order in their head and in their documents, there will be no sustainable growth, and therefore this month will be the starting point for their new financial style: structured, thoughtful, without chaotic steps. In February, the focus will shift to money as a tool rather than a constant problem. Taurus will begin to look at their budget differently. They will not only try to earn more, but also learn to save and multiply. There will be a desire to understand basic financial instruments, fears about large sums, and the issue of savings and reserves. Taurus will discover that their peace of mind is directly related to how transparently they see their income and expenses. This month, they may take the first steps toward creating a safety net and giving up small but regular expenses that have been eating away at a significant portion of their budget. They will form a new habit. Every hryvnia must have a purpose. March will reinforce the theme of professional status. Taurus, who previously could tolerate a job that did not offer growth, will stop agreeing to the role of a quiet performer during this period. They will begin to assert their competencies, ask for a raise, and look for a position where their experience and responsibility will be adequately compensated. In March, many Taurus will receive offers to move to another company, expand their responsibilities, or participate in more responsible projects. They will no longer accept the argument that now is not the time. On the contrary, this month will be marked by a willingness to take steps toward better conditions. April will consolidate professional and financial progress. Taurus will enter a phase where their work will bring not only income, but also a sense of competence. At this time, topics such as contracts, formal agreements, and written agreements will be actively discussed. Where previously everything was based on verbal promises, Taurus will demand transparency, clear wording, and real guarantees. They will stop working on trust, where a high level of responsibility is expected of them. In April, they will set new standards for interaction with employers, clients, and partners. If they invest time and resources, they want to see a clear benefit. May will unfold on a personal level. This month, the theme of relationships, family, and close contacts will become more pronounced in the life of Taurus. Those who already have a partner will start talking more about specific steps, a joint budget, common goals, joint purchases, and planning their daily life. These will not be abstract conversations about someday, but real discussions about how to build a life together. If Taurus is single, in May it will be easier for them to meet people who are also focused on long-term rather than casual relationships. They will stop wasting time on those who are afraid of responsibility and will gravitate towards partners who are not afraid of the words responsibility, planning, and joint development. In June, the need for a comfortable space will be felt even more strongly. It is during this period that Taurus will actively think about housing, repairs, moving, and changing their environment. They will no longer want to put up with domestic discomfort, cramped conditions, and a tiring commute to work. There will be a desire to bring their daily life closer to a level that meets their internal standards. Some will renovate, some will look for a new apartment, and some will organize their home workplace in a way that promotes concentration and productivity. For Taurus, this will not be a whim. It will become part of their strategy. Quality space, stable mood, better results. July will bring health and energy to the forefront. Taurus will begin to realize that their endurance, performance, and ability to think clearly directly depend on how they take care of their body. If they used to put off checkups, tests, and dietary changes, in July they will take concrete steps. They will give up bad habits, introduce regular physical activity, and pay more attention to rest. They will not chase the ideal image. Their goal will be a stable resource to withstand high loads at work and in their personal life. July will form a new discipline in which self-care will not look like a holiday, but will become a habitual practice. August will provide an opportunity to combine rest with benefit. Taurus will not want to spend this month in passive mode, but will not allow themselves to burn out completely. They will look for formats where they can simultaneously switch gears, change their surroundings, and get new ideas. This could be a short trip, a visit to friends, or time in nature, where they can think through their next steps in silence. In August, decisions will be made that will later seem strategic to them. In which direction to develop their business, what skills to master, how to structure their work schedule. Rest will cease to be an escape. It will turn into a reboot, after which it will be easier to work. September will mark the beginning of a period of learning and professional growth. Taurus will begin to understand that the market is changing. The demands on people in his profession are becoming higher, and those who do not update their knowledge risk getting stuck. This month, he will be ready to invest time and money in courses, training, consultations, and literature. But the choice will not be chaotic. They will choose exactly those areas that will strengthen them as a specialist and open the way to higher incomes. September will form a new identity in them, not just an employee or performer, but a specialist who is constantly growing and can claim a different level of pay and respect. October will shift the focus of development to scaling. What Taurus has been working on for the first 9 months of the year will begin to yield tangible results in the fall. There may be new offers for cooperation, expansion of the customer base, entry into other markets, higher paychecks, and a move to a more responsible position. In October, they will see that their systematic approach to money, work, health, and their environment is bringing concrete benefits. They will no longer perceive themselves as someone who is just lucky. They will realize that every positive shift is the result of a series of well-thought-out steps. November will highlight the topic of reputation. It is during this period that Taurus will feel how the attitude towards him is changing on the part of colleagues, management, clients, and loved ones. Where he was previously perceived as reliable but quiet, he will begin to be associated with a person who is capable of leading, taking responsibility, and guaranteeing results. In November, they may be invited to speak, share their experience, and participate in important meetings where a sober view and practical thinking are required. They will see that their opinion carries more weight than before, and that the circle of people who respect them is expanding. December will bring all the threads of the year together into a complete picture. Taurus will look at his life and notice how much the structure of his days, his bank account, the quality of his relationships, and his sense of self have changed. He will see not a series of random events, but a logical sequence. In January, they put their finances in order. In February, they established new financial habits. In March, April, they advanced professionally. In May, June, they stabilized their personal and domestic life. In July, August, they strengthened their health and energy. In September, October, they expanded their opportunities. In November, they felt the weight of their own name. December will give him a basic but extremely important feeling. Life is no longer dependent on chance. It is guided by specific decisions that he is capable of making. Against the backdrop of the whole year, Taurus's internal transformation in terms of self-worth will be particularly noticeable. If earlier he could agree to lower pay, overwork, and asymmetrical relationships where he gives more than he receives, in 2026, he will stop devaluing himself. This will not turn into an aggressive position, but will manifest itself in specific phrases that he will voice. I am not satisfied with these conditions. I need a different format of cooperation. I am ready to work, but not at any price. Self-respect will become the basis of all his agreements. In his work with those around him, Taurus will gradually change his model of interaction. He will spend less time on people who constantly complain without changing anything, and will gravitate more towards those who are also working on themselves, growing, and setting goals. This will affect his social circle. He will make new contacts that broaden his horizons rather than narrow them. In these relationships, He will feel not like a support for everyone, but like a full-fledged partner who is respected and trusted. Taurus's attitude to risk will also change throughout the year. They will not become a reckless experimenter. Their style will remain cautious but thoughtful. They will not invest money in dubious schemes, but will be ready to invest in things that strengthen their position: education, professional tools, and their own projects. Risk will cease to be a scary word for them. They will see it as an opportunity to take measured steps when all the pros and cons have been analysed and the decision is made not on emotions, but on an understanding of the prospects. The topic of personal pleasures will also be of particular importance. Taurus will not give up the joys of life, but will stop drowning stress with shopping or food. He will choose more of what brings deep satisfaction: quality rest, pleasant little things for the home, time with people with whom he feels comfortable. They will learn not to explain their desires and not to justify their love of comfort. Instead, they will build a system where these pleasures are based on a real financial foundation, not on loans or debts. In Sylvia Brown's vision, 2026 for Taurus will be a period in which a slow but persistent strategy will bring results in concrete terms. Income will become more stable and higher. Work will become more meaningful and respectable. Relationships will become more mature. Space will become more comfortable. Health will become stronger. And self-esteem will become balanced and calm. Each month will have its own function, but together they will build a life structure for him in which he will finally feel that he is not just surviving and holding on, but living at the level that he has long considered the norm for himself. Gemini. In 2026, Gemini will demonstrate what previously seemed unlikely to them. Stability will begin to combine with movement, and chaotic streams of ideas will turn into concrete decisions, products, projects, and money. The year that Sylvia Brown described as one of the strongest in their lives will be a time when representatives of this sign will stop doubting their talents, stop bargaining over trifles, and begin to act as if their voice, style of thinking, and way of seeing the world already carry weight. Gemini will not just react to events, but will set the pace for others, shaping the information field around them. January will bring Gemini a rethinking of their role in daily communication. Where they used to endlessly respond to other people's messages and get involved in discussions and arguments, now there will be a clear selection: who deserves attention and who is just wasting time. Representatives of this sign will create a new information regime for themselves: less chaos, more structured contacts. They will determine which chats, projects, channels, and clients contribute to their development, and which simply maintain the feeling of, "I'm busy." January's decisions will be the starting point. Gemini will gradually transition from the mode of eternal online reactor to the status of someone who initiates meaningful dialogues, useful collaborations, and partnerships. February will boldly bring Gemini into the realm of money through their ability to communicate, explain, persuade, and adapt complex information. People of this sign will begin to monetize what they previously considered just their ability to talk. Opportunities will arise for consulting, mentoring, blogging, training programs, and communication projects. Gemini will realize that the ability to ask questions, build arguments, and combine facts is not a character trait, but a resource that can bring in a steady income. They will move from free advice to formats where their time and expertise are paid for. March will push them to change their working formats. Gemini will begin to view their career as a system rather than a series of disparate episodes. They will analyze which tasks really inspire them, where they perform at their best, and where they simply get the job done. Against this backdrop, decisions will emerge to change jobs, switch to flexible conditions, launch parallel projects, or gradually prepare to start their own business. March will open the door to greater freedom in their daily routine for Gemini. They will seek to control their own time rather than adapt to the chaotic schedules of others. April will increase the need for intellectual challenges. Gemini will begin to feel that routine no longer satisfies their curiosity. They will look for tasks that require analytics, creativity, and strategic thinking. During this period, they may participate in large projects that require thinking through communication, content, structure, product launches, or media formats. Gemini will not want to be mere hands, carrying out other people's instructions. They will claim the role of a brain center that offers solutions and sees several steps ahead. May will open new horizons in the area of publicity. Gemini will become increasingly bold in entering the public sphere, where their thoughts, texts, voices, videos, lectures, or speeches will become available to a wide audience. People of this sign will overcome the internal barrier of "it's too early for me to show myself" and allow themselves to launch their own formats. Social media pages, channels, podcasts, webinars, conference speeches, and live broadcasts. Their lively, flexible, ironic, and concrete style of presentation will attract the attention of those who are tired of dry theory or pompous tones. May will be the month when Gemini will finally recognize that their voice is an asset. June will pick up on the theme of mobility. Gemini will begin to move around more physically. Trips, business trips, short journeys, and changes of location. These will not be chaotic escapes, but well thought out changes of scenery that will allow them to expand their circle of contacts and get acquainted with new markets, clients, and environments. They will see that each trip can bring not only emotions, but also concrete agreements, partnerships, and ideas. June will form a habit. Any move is an opportunity to gather information, test new formats, see how others live, and rethink your own approaches. July will focus on internal order. Gemini, who often live in several streams at once, will begin to understand that without internal discipline, even the best ideas dissolve. They will put their files, archives, working documents, and calendars in order. Clearer systems for planning, tracking deadlines, and keeping records will emerge. July will be a month when the chaos in their notes, bookmarks, and tasks will gradually be replaced by structure, which will directly affect their income. Fewer missed opportunities, more completed projects. August will reveal the theme of deeper relationships for Gemini. They will tire of superficial acquaintances, endless, meaningless chats, and flirting that leads nowhere. This month, there will be a need for contacts where they can discuss not only news and trends, but also plans, fears, ambitions, and weaknesses. Those in a relationship will seek honest dialogue about their future together, finances, and career moves. Those who are single will feel the magnetism of people with whom they can build a partnership, not just exchange impressions. August will teach Gemini not to waste their charm on everyone. September will immerse them in learning, but not randomly, but strategically. Gemini will begin to build educational paths that will enhance their professional value. They will not choose everything in a row, but programs that will help them reach another level in their field. From working with words to analytics, from team management to design thinking or technical skills, September's investments in knowledge will pay off in a few months in the form of higher fees, expanded functionality, and invitations to large projects. Gemini will realize that their mind is their main asset, and during this period, they will actively multiply it. October will shift the focus to career status. It is during this month that Gemini will feel particularly keenly whether their position corresponds to the level of knowledge they already have. They will not want to remain in the background where they invest most of their energy. Therefore, there are likely to be discussions about promotions, negotiations with management, launching their own products, becoming self-employed, or scaling up an existing business. October will push them to make bold decisions, to remain in a comfortable but limited role, or to move into a space where there is more responsibility, but also significantly more opportunities. November will raise the issue of reputation in the professional environment. Gemini will see that they are beginning to be quoted, asked for advice, and invited as experts or moderators. Their name will be associated in certain circles with a specific competence. The ability to quickly understand a complex topic, find the right words for any content, and build a bridge between an idea and its implementation. November will cement a new identity for them. Not just a talented person who speaks well, but a specialist whose presence in a project increases the chances of success. December will end the year for Gemini with a feeling of significantly broadened horizons. They will see how much the configuration of their lives has changed. A different level of income, a different environment, a different attitude towards themselves. The most important result will not be the number of contacts, but the quality of connections. They will have fewer people around them, but each of them will bring support, development, and shared prospects. By the end of the year, Gemini will realize that they no longer want to return to the "I scatter myself over everything" format. They will appreciate focus, depth, and consistency. A special feature of 2026 for this sign will be how their attitude toward their own doubts will change. What previously held them back, fear of criticism, the feeling that someone else knows better, will gradually lose its power. Gemini will use their versatility differently. Instead of jumping between scenarios, they will make several plans, calculate the consequences, and make conscious choices. Their duality will cease to be a problem, turning into an ability to see alternatives where others are stuck in one pattern. In the area of money, Gemini will abandon the "it will work out somehow" model and take a more serious approach to planning. They will set limits for themselves, track their expenses, and think about how to allocate their income between current needs, development, and reserves. At the same time, they will build their own system of financial flows, one stable income, plus several flexible areas that can grow. Such diversity will suit their nature, but now it will not look chaotic. A clear financial map will be created. In relationships, Gemini will reach a level of greater honesty in 2026. They will stop playing roles, adjusting to the expectations of others, and saying what is pleasant to hear. They will speak directly, but not rudely, and will articulate what suits them and what does not. This position will attract people who value openness and repel those who are looking for a convenient partner without their own position. As a result, their relationships will be purified. Those who are ready to grow together will remain. In terms of health, Gemini will begin to pay closer attention to the signals of their body related to stress, nervous system overload, and lack of rest. They will understand that nervous exhaustion directly affects the quality of their ideas, memory, and ability to concentrate. Therefore, in 2026, they will pay more attention to their sleep schedule, micro breaks during the day, detoxing from gadgets, and taking breaks between information flows. It will not be a perfect routine, but even partial changes will have a noticeable effect. Their minds will work more clearly, and decisions will be made faster. Another important vector is the development of personal projects. Gemini, who have long dreamed of their own courses, books, blogs, channels, and original products, will have enough inner strength in 2026 to stop waiting for the perfect moment. They will determine the minimum format for the launch and start taking action, recording the first episodes, publishing texts, testing offers, and collecting feedback. They will see that the audience responds not to perfection, but to liveliness, clarity, and usefulness. This practice will transform them from potential authors into people who actually have their own platforms. In professional teams, Gemini will become liaisons between different departments, cultures, and levels within a year. They will effectively explain things to others, translate complex language into understandable terms, and ease communication tensions. For this, they will be appreciated by both colleagues and management. Conflicts will be easier to resolve, and projects will be easier to get off the ground. Many representatives of this sign will take on the role of informal leaders who will be sought out for their words, advice, and explanations. 2026 will be the best year for Gemini, not because all difficulties will disappear, but because they will learn in practice to turn their strengths into concrete results. Their curiosity, flexibility, quick thinking, ability to see connections between events, and ease of speech and communication will no longer be lost in the details. All these qualities will work toward their goals: higher income, better relationships, broader opportunities, and higher professional status. When Gemini rules the calendar in 2026, each month will add to their confidence that they have chosen the right course, and their gift for working with words and information will bring not only moral satisfaction, but also tangible, measurable success. Cancer. According to Sylvia Brown, for Cancer, 2026 will be a period when their inner world will cease to be a constantly suffering rear guard and will become the main source of strength, concrete decisions, and financial changes. Throughout the year, people of this sign will move away from the habit of living by their moods to a more precise management of their lives. Emotions will no longer dictate their choices of work, money, and relationships, but will become indicators that help them understand where they are doing well and where they are simply being used. For Cancer, 2026 will not look like one bright leap, but rather a consistent recovery, strengthening, and growth in all key areas, from home and family to income and personal authority. At the beginning of the year, in January, Cancer will feel very clearly the fatigue of old obligations that have been dragging on for years: unprofitable agreements, emotionally difficult relationships, outdated work formats that are only maintained out of habit. It is in January that they will make their first serious internal decisions to voluntarily stop dragging along what has long since ceased to work for them. They will be calmer in their attitude toward people who demand the same as before from them and will not rush to save everyone at once. This month will show Cancer how ready they are to stop being an emotional bank for others and start a new mode, not giving away the last, but building balance. In February, the theme of financial security will become more prominent. Cancer will begin to analyze why money has been a source of anxiety in recent years. Unstable work, dependence on other people's moods, emotional expenses, impulsive purchases, helping those who do not even say thank you. In February, they will make sober decisions, cut unnecessary expenses, break down their financial goals into specific amounts, and build a reserve. There will be a desire to no longer wait for the perfect moment to save, but to start working with what is available now. Cancer will learn to look at money not through the prism of fear, but as a resource for the stability of their home and future. The spring period, March, April, and May, will change Cancer's attitude toward work and their own time. In March, they will notice how much energy goes into tasks that bring neither development, respect, nor adequate income. They will feel the need to ask questions. Why do I have to do more than is required without compensation? Why is my loyalty taken for granted rather than valued? In April, Cancer will begin to reorient themselves. They will demand transparent rules, clear responsibilities, and a fair assessment of their contribution. If the response from those around them is evasive, in May they will prepare steps for change, searching for new opportunities, parallel projects, consultations, additional sources of income that will allow them not to be tied to one employer or client. March will also be important for the topic of self-respect. Cancer, who is used to protecting the interests of others more than their own, will begin to notice how often they are manipulated through feelings of guilt, duty, and "you're so kind." This month, they will work out a clearer position. Help. Yes, but not at the expense of their own health, sleep, work, and plans. April will include the first firm no's, where there used to be automatic, "Okay, I'll do it." In May, Cancer will feel the first effect. The time that used to be spent on other people's problems will begin to return to them. They will invest it in their career, daily life, and development. In June, the theme of home and space will come to the fore. Cancer will feel very clearly that their home is not just walls, but a base on which everything depends: their state of mind, their ability to work, their level of stress. During this period, they will either plan to move or renovate their environment. For some, this will mean repairs. For others, changing furniture. And for others, looking for a new home with better conditions. They will stop putting up with their home just somehow functioning and will move towards a format where the space really supports them. Enough light, a comfortable place to relax and work, and a minimum of chaos. Any investment in the home in June will be rewarded with a sense of stability and inner peace. July will reinforce the family theme. Cancer will treat family ties less as a duty and more as a choice. If earlier they could get involved in conflicts and drama just because they are family, in July they will choose where there is real reciprocity and where there are only demands and complaints. They will support those who are also willing to take steps towards them, not just take. If they have their own family, in July there will be talks about a joint budget, plans, and the distribution of responsibilities so that they do not have to carry everything on their own. Open conversations, albeit difficult, will provide an opportunity to reach a new level of interaction. August will be a period when Cancer will take their health more seriously. They will notice how their body reacts to lack of sleep, emotional overload, and constant concern for others. This month, they will sign up for checkups, organize their routine, and introduce at least basic activities: walks, simple exercises, and breaks throughout the day. They will treat micro-symptoms differently. What used to go away on its own will be perceived as a signal in August. As a result, by autumn, Cancer will feel more collected and will have enough energy not only for survival, but also for development. Autumn. September, October, and November will open up a new level of fulfillment for Cancer. In September, they will think about how to make their work more manageable. Not just working hours, but building a system. Ideas will emerge to delegate some tasks, learn new tools, establish digital order, and automate routine processes. September will be the month when Cancer stops perceiving themselves only as an executor and begins to view their activities as a project that requires structure, planning, and clear goals. October will be associated with financial deals and important agreements. At this time, Cancer will sign contracts, review terms of cooperation, reach out to customers from other cities or countries, and move to a different level of payment. They will carefully read all the points, refuse to agree to vague wording, and demand transparency and guarantees. Where there used to be, we'll work something out. October will bring clear numbers, deadlines, and responsibilities. Those who are self-employed will be able to expand their customer base, while those who are employed will receive a raise or move to a company with better conditions. November will be the month when Cancer sees the first major confirmation that their decisions were correct. Money will start coming in more steadily, expenses will be more controllable, and debts will be paid off or reduced. There will be pressure at work, but it will no longer seem hopelessly exhausting. Some of the tasks will be distributed, some will be automated, and some will simply no longer be taken on. November will reinforce the feeling that the situation in their career and finances is beginning to obey them, rather than random circumstances. December 2026 will be a month of very sober assessment of everything that has happened during the year for Cancer. They will look at their home, work, relationships, and finances, and understand that a clear line of change has already been formed. They will no longer want to return to patterns in which they reassured others, forgetting about themselves, agreeing to save on everything, and enduring emotional pressure. December will be a time when they will formulate new standards, what working conditions are acceptable to them, what level of income they will consider normal, how they will divide their time between family, work, and their own needs. Throughout the year, the internal language that Cancer used to talk to himself will also change. Instead of "I must endure," phrases such as "I will choose a format in which it is easier for me to work and live" will appear. Instead of "I feel awkward refusing," it will be "I have the right to disagree." Instead of "I need to meet the expectations of my loved ones," it will be "I will build my life in a way that does not betray myself." This internal reorientation will affect everything, from the way they earn money to the style of communication with partners, relatives, and friends. In financial terms, 2026 will bring Cancer a transition from chaotic waves of income to a more even line. They will gradually build a system, a basic stable income, plus one or two additional areas that can be developed in their free time. They will not rush to collect everything in a row, but will choose formats that suit their character, meaningful, with depth, trust, and duration. Short-term dubious earnings that require nerves and compromises with conscience will gradually fade away. Cancer will see that its main strength lies in its ability to create something safe, reliable, and stable. It will carry this same quality over into its work. In relationships, 2026 will give Cancer more mature choices. They will not agree to a format where their feelings are constantly tested, where they are forced to prove their love, where they are jealous for no reason, or where they are manipulated with silence. They will appreciate those who speak directly, do not play games, and do not use their sensitivity as a tool of control. If they already have a partner, the year will bring more frank conversations about common goals, money, everyday life, and leisure. If they are single, the chances of a relationship with someone who respects their boundaries will increase significantly when they stop agreeing to compromises just for the sake of not being alone. Daily small decisions in 2026 will also change for Cancer. They will choose not the path of least conflict, but the one with the least internal violence against themselves. This will apply to work, everyday life, and family issues. They will begin to speak up about what does not suit them, and if the response is unwillingness to listen, they will draw conclusions not in favor of "I'll just put up with it," but in favor of change. This approach will accustom those around them to the idea that Cancer is not only gentleness and care, but also a clear position that should be taken into account. Looking ahead to the whole year, Cancer's main achievement will be not only financial or career growth, but a whole new level of inner peace. They will know what they can rely on. their own decisions, the people they have chosen to surround themselves with, a home filled with warmth rather than tension, and a job where their contribution is truly valued. It is this feeling that will make 2026 the best year of their life, not because of random gifts of fate, but because of consistent steps that will allow them to stop living in a mode of constant self-sacrifice and move on to a life where their care for others is finally combined with care for themselves. Leo. In predictions associated with the name of Sylvia Brown, 2026 will be a year of sharp increase in status, money, and influence for Leo. People of this sign will gradually move away from demonstrative confidence and transition to real power, which will be confirmed by results, figures, and specific achievements. Leo will no longer be satisfied with the role of a bright figure without clear support. They will build a systematic foundation for their leadership: stable income, clear career steps, structured relationships, and a thoughtful distribution of power. January 2026 will be a starting point for Leo, when he will take a cold look at everything around him. He will analyze who he works with, who he learns from, who he helps, and who he allows to use his time and authority. It will turn out that some of those around him have become accustomed to his support, but are not ready to reciprocate. Leo will make several unpopular but necessary decisions: to close projects that are dragging him down, to limit communication with people who constantly demand something but give nothing in return. Already in January, he will begin to build a new order. Priority will be given to those areas where his competence and name are truly valued. February will be the month when Leo takes a completely different approach to the issue of earnings. Instead of thinking, "I just need more money," he will want to control the entire financial process: sources, regularity, expenses, reserves. They will review the terms of cooperation, negotiate pay raises, and refuse to play the role of a universal soldier who does everything they are asked to do for a fixed rate. In February, Leo will begin to lay the foundation for a new level of income. They will translate their authority, experience, and ability to influence people into specific financial indicators. March for Leo will be associated with a review of his career trajectory. He will calmly assess whether his current position leads to the level he really deserves, or whether it is just a comfort zone. Many representatives of this sign will feel an inner need to move higher and wider, to take on management functions, enter the public sphere, and change their field of activity to a more ambitious one. March will bring the first offers, projects that require not an executor, but a leader. Leo will be ready to take on this role, but not out of emotional impulse, but with the understanding that they already have enough experience to lead the team and be responsible for the result. April 2026 will be a month of influence configuration. Leo will begin to shift their focus, not just to be visible, but to be indispensable where key decisions are made. He will initiate meetings, propose new working formats, and participate in negotiations where budgets, strategies, and directions for development will be determined. Where previously he could only be involved as a charismatic representative, in April he will demand participation in the planning stage. This will gradually take him to a completely different level of influence, not decorative, but real. May will be a period when personal life and career will merge. Leo will feel that he is not ready to drag out relationships that hinder his development. If their partner does not take their ambitions seriously, devalues their efforts, or reacts to their success with jealousy, Leo will make tough decisions. This will not mean conflict for the sake of conflict, but rather a choice: to stay with someone who holds them back, or to wait for someone with whom they can grow. In May, Leo will set boundaries. They will not agree to a format where they have to diminish themselves to make someone else feel more comfortable. If they have a supportive partner, May will bring a strengthening of the union, joint plans, agreements on financial and domestic responsibilities, and concrete steps toward common goals. June 2026 will be associated with the theme of space, status objects, and external quality of life. Leo will begin to think not only about how much they will earn, but also about the conditions in which they will live. There will be a desire to change their home, car, office, workplace, and clothing style. This will not be an empty display. Leo will build an image that corresponds to his real role. He will invest in things that reinforce his sense of self-importance: quality clothing for negotiations, a comfortable space for recovery, and equipment for productive work. June will lay the material foundation that will make it easier for him to conduct business at the necessary level. July will bring the topic of health and endurance to the forefront. Leo will feel that too much now depends on his physical condition. Meetings, trips, deadlines, performances, process control. He will begin to pay attention to his sleep schedule, diet, and stress levels. In July, they may decide to start regular training, work with a personal trainer, and adjust their schedule so as not to exhaust themselves. Leos will see that a strong body is not a whim, but a necessary condition for leadership. The more responsibility they take on, the more seriously they will treat their own resources. August 2026 will be a month of expanding contacts. Leo will actively go beyond their usual circle. Conferences, professional events, trips, meetings with people working in related fields. All of this will enrich their opportunities. They will not waste time on superficial acquaintances. They will focus on contacts where ambitions, resources, and interests intersect. It is in August that partners for joint projects, investors, and clients from another level may appear. Leo will use every conversation as a chance to see how his experience can solve someone's problems for a decent fee. September 2026 will be associated with systematizing everything that Leo has worked on during the first 8 months. He will realize that the flow of tasks is growing, and if he does not streamline the processes, some of the opportunities will be lost. This month, he will implement clear rules, structuring workdays, distributing responsibilities within the team, delegating routine work, organizing document flow, and creating clear financial reports. September will make his work more predictable and controllable. Thanks to this, Leo will free up time for strategic decisions rather than just putting out fires. October will be the moment when his authority reaches a new level. Leo will be treated not only as an executor or manager, but as a person who sets the direction. His decisions will influence how budgets are allocated, which projects will be prioritized, and which people will move up the career ladder. In October, he will feel particularly keenly that his word is very valuable, in the literal sense. His recommendations, support, and participation in projects will raise his value as a specialist or manager. He will keep a close eye on this and will no longer participate in important decisions through connections or for friendship, if it is not backed up by real profit. November 2026 will consolidate everything that Leo has built up to this point. Financial indicators will stabilize and grow, and most decisions will work in his favor automatically. They will feel that they have already created a system that will generate income even when they temporarily slow down. In November, they will allow themselves a little more choice, not to take on every project, but to choose those that fit their long-term plans, image, and financial goals. Leo will learn to say no, not only to people, but also to money that comes in the wrong format, with devaluation, haste, and disrespect for his competencies. December will be a month for Leo to take stock of the results on a completely different level than in previous years. He will look at his year as a chain of events, where each link logically led to the next. Cleansing of the superfluous in January, new financial conditions in February, a change of role in March, increased influence in April, tough selection in relationships in May, material reinforcement in June, care for the body in July, expansion of the environment in August, order in September, the peak of authority in October, and stabilization in November. In December, he will see himself not as a person who was lucky to be in the right year, but as someone who made the most of this period. Throughout 2026, Leo's basic internal code will change. Instead of the attitude, "I must be accepted as I am," there will be a new mindset. I will be someone whose level is difficult to ignore. He will prepare himself for new heights. He will learn to speak convincingly, negotiate toughly but correctly, defend his interests without aggression, and make unpopular decisions when necessary for the cause. Leo will stop wasting energy on petty conflicts that don't matter and will focus on issues that affect his long-term position. Financially, this year will be a turning point. Leo will no longer agree to projects where he is used as a bright wrapper without real reward. They will form their own pricing policy and stick to it, even if some potential customers drop out. Instead of numerous small commitments that take away energy and bring little benefit, they will have a few large but profound areas where they can fully reveal their competencies and make a name for themselves. This will require discipline, but it is precisely how the foundation for income on a different scale will be laid. In relationships, Leo will move to a model of mutual respect rather than adoration. He will no longer be satisfied with a partner who either looks up to him enthusiastically or constantly competes for leadership. They will choose a person with whom they can share responsibility and support each other without games. Quarrels organized for emotional fuel will lose their meaning for them. They will value stable, honest, straightforward relationships where they do not have to prove their importance through daily conflicts. Another important aspect of 2026 is public image. Leo will pay more attention to how he looks in the information field, what posts he publishes, how he speaks, how he responds to criticism. They will realize that their every action will create an impression that will affect their business, work, and opportunities. Therefore, they will choose the tone, style, and topics with which they will address people. This control will not be artificial. It will become a natural part of their strategic thinking. 2026 will truly be the best year for Leo in the sense that he will finally combine his innate desire to be first with a systematic approach to life. His charisma will be reinforced by competence, his strength of character by clear goals, and his desire for high standards by a willingness to work for them. Each month of this year will push Leo to another level of maturity, where he will no longer waste himself on trifles, but will build a reality where his name, decisions, and actions will turn into concrete opportunities, money, positions, projects, and connections that will work for him in the years to come. Virgo. For Virgo, 2026, in Sylvia Brown's vision, will be a year when clarity, rationality, and self-discipline will begin to bring not exhaustion, but tangible profit, peace, and recognition. Where other signs will act emotionally, Virgo will step by step build a system that works for her. In work, finances, health, relationships, and everyday life. This period will be a time of practical miracles for her. Not random upsurges, but regular results that she will achieve thanks to thoughtful decisions, precise steps, and uncompromising order. January 2026 will be a month of deep inventory thinking for Virgo. She will look at her life as a complex project and honestly analyze each block: work, finances, health, personal relationships, and her surroundings. In January, Virgo will take stock of what is draining her energy and not producing results. She will write down all her obligations, deadlines, and current tasks on paper or in digital spreadsheets and see where there is overload and where there are failures. During this period, she will make very specific decisions: which projects to complete, which habits to give up, what to pass on to others, and what to structure and keep for herself. It is the steps taken in January that will kick off a year in which she will no longer work herself to exhaustion without understanding what it is all for. In February, the financial sphere will become more active. Virgo will form a clear financial model for the year: income, expenses, reserves, investments in development. She will set specific amounts to strive for each month and will stop thinking only in terms of more, or less. A systematic approach will emerge. Part of the money will go to basic needs, part to improving quality of life, part to education, and part to a financial cushion. In February, Virgo will begin to pay closer attention to each transaction. Impulsive purchases will gradually disappear, replaced by thoughtful purchases and deferred decisions. She will feel that she can control the flow of money, rather than just react to it. March will be a month of career filtering. Virgo will analyze how well her current job matches her real capabilities. If her knowledge and skills exceed what is required of her, she will begin to prepare the ground for change, updating her resume, negotiating with management, studying the market, and testing other areas of activity. In March, she will stop agreeing to the role of a quiet, irreplaceable employee in the shadows. Virgo will strive for a position where her competence, attention to detail, ability to spot mistakes, and optimize processes will be recognized and paid accordingly. April 2026 will strengthen the vector of professional growth. During this period, Virgo will begin to take on more complex tasks that will require high concentration, responsibility, and a systematic approach. She will streamline work processes, create instructions, templates, checklists, and establish clear communication within the team. April will be the month when her role in the team will be strengthened. She will be consulted more often, asked to check important documents, calculate risks, and find weak spots. This will no longer be invisible work, but the foundation without which projects cannot move forward. May will reveal Virgo's need for intellectual growth. She will begin to feel that the time has come to raise the bar of her knowledge. In May, decisions regarding education are possible. Courses, certification programs, additional education, professional training. Virgo will not choose randomly. She will discover areas that will directly strengthen her specialization: analytics, project management, financial literacy, and modern tools in her field. She will invest time in what will give her the resources to move to the next level of income and status. June 2026 will touch on the theme of environment and space. Virgo will begin to rethink where and how she will work, relax, and live. During this period, decisions may be made regarding changing her office, organizing a home office, moving, renovating, or zoning her home. She will create a space where everything has its place and chaos is minimized. Virgo will understand that her productivity and well-being depend on the quality of her environment. So in June, she will invest her energy in making her space functional, calm, and structured. July will bring health and physical condition to the forefront. Virgo will clearly feel how her body reacts to overload, improper routine, and poor nutrition. In July, she will begin to plan medical examinations, adjust her diet, and introduce regular activity. Her approach will not be chaotic, but systematic. She will make schedules, choose specific programs, and track results. This will not be a short burst of energy. It will become part of a new discipline in which caring for the body will be perceived as a necessary condition for high efficiency. August 2026 will affect Virgo's communication field, but not at all from an emotional point of view. She will structure her contacts in the same way she structures documents, separating important connections from superficial ones, useful acquaintances from those that are of no use. She will organize her contact databases, lists of clients, partners, and potential customers. At this time, she will realize that she can build relationships differently, with clear boundaries, specific terms, and understandable rules. August will be the month when she begins to optimize not only work processes, but also the human factor. September will open up the prospect of long-term projects for Virgo. She will be ready to participate in matters that will require not a week or a month, but a year, 2, or 3. Her patience, ability to plan, control quality, and bring things to perfection will be in demand in large processes, large-scale deals, complex developments, and multi-level systems. In September, she will begin to receive offers to take on coordination or control functions, where a person who sees the details and at the same time keeps the big picture in mind is needed. October 2026 will strengthen financial results. During this period, Virgo will reap the rewards of her systematic work in previous months. She will begin to receive a more stable income, more often, higher payments, bonuses, and quality bonuses. In October, there may be a promotion, an expansion of responsibilities with corresponding pay, new lucrative clients, a move to a company with better conditions, or the launch of her own project, which will begin to bring in the first tangible money. She will feel that her attention to detail, pedantry, analytical skills, and ability to keep processes under control are converting into real numbers. November will be a month of professional reputation. It is at this time that a stable image will form around Virgo's name. A specialist who works without mistakes, sees things through to the end, does not allow failures, and sees risks at an early stage. People will turn to her for expertise, and she will be recommended as a responsible and reliable person. In November, they will gain another important resource, the right to dictate their terms. They will no longer be easily replaceable. Their competencies will become so significant that they will have to be taken into account in matters of schedule and pay. December 2026 will sum up the year not only with external achievements, but also with internal changes. Virgo will look back on her path and see that she has stopped allowing herself to get lost in trivialities that do not lead to development. She will have a different attitude to time. Every hour will have its own function: work, recovery, study, home, relationships. She will see how much her financial stability, health, daily routine, social circle, and career position have changed. December will not be a point after which everything freezes. On the contrary, it will form a new standard from which Virgo will no longer want to deviate. Throughout 2026, Virgo's behavior in the financial sphere will be based on cold analysis. She will begin to calculate not only her income, but also the profitability of her participation in certain projects. If a particular direction takes a lot of effort and the return is low, she will make pragmatic decisions to close, transfer, or change the format. She will no longer be satisfied with the formula better than nothing. She will choose where there is a clear perspective and opportunity for scaling. Relationships will also take on a different quality. Virgo will not play the role of a reliable assistant in other people's lives. She will begin to distinguish between support and exploitation. If loved ones take her care for granted, not respecting her boundaries and time, she will set rules, when she is ready to get involved and when she is not. This approach will clear the field of those who are used to hanging on her resources without giving anything back. Those who are able to reciprocate, speak directly, and appreciate her contribution will remain. In terms of home life, 2026 will make Virgo even more demanding of order, but not for the sake of control as such. She will see a direct connection between chaos and her stress level, between orderliness and productivity. She will create a system for storing things, digital files, and documents so that she can find what she needs in a matter of minutes. This will also affect her work. Her archives, structured databases, and labeling systems will inspire confidence. Virgo will develop a style in which everything important is always at hand, rather than scattered across countless folders and papers. An important topic will be workload. In 2026, Virgo will learn not only to work, but also to pace herself. She will see where she needs to give her all, and where it is enough to do the minimum required. She will develop the ability to distinguish between real priorities and artificial urgent tasks. This will allow her to avoid overwork and professional burnout, which could previously have been a serious problem. Another key theme of the year is growing confidence. For Virgo, this will not be expressed in loud words or demonstrative behavior. It will manifest itself in the calm ability to say, "I will do this well, but under certain conditions. I will not take this on because it does not meet my standards. I need an advance. I need specific guarantees." They will not apologize for their exactingness. They will build partnerships in which their professional value will be recognized without negotiation. As a result, 2026 will be a year of maximum efficiency for Virgos. Each month will fulfill its own function. January, review; February, financial plan; March, career filter; April, deepening of professional role; May, intellectual growth; June, space optimization; July, body care; August, organizing contacts; September, long-term projects; October, income growth; November, strengthening reputation; December, a new standard of living. It is precisely this structured, logical, and at the same time rich trajectory that will make this year the most valuable in Virgo's life. A period when her desire for order and quality will cease to be a burden and will become the main instruments of influence, income, and calm confidence in tomorrow. Libra. In 2026, Libras will not balance between extremes as they did before. They will begin to weigh reality in numbers, facts, and concrete decisions. Life will not turn into a fairy tale, but this period will give them a chance to reach a new level of prosperity, status, and personal comfort if they stop hiding behind doubts and trying to please everyone. Libras will gradually change their role. From people who are afraid to upset the balance, they will become those who set the rules of the game themselves, at work, in relationships, and in finances. In January, Libras will take the first step towards this reformatting. They will begin to view their obligations as a contract, what they give to others, and what they actually get in return. This month, they will make an honest list for themselves: who constantly makes requests, who they regularly accommodate, who takes advantage of their softness. January will not be about sudden breaks, but a clear thought will appear in Libra's mind. The way it was is no longer suitable. They will decide where it is time to reduce their involvement, where to change the format of interaction, and where to stop saving others at their own expense. February will bring Libras back to the topic of money without romantic illusions. They will stop perceiving financial issues as something uncomfortable to discuss and will begin to set specific conditions. During this period, they will form a new approach to income. Instead of hoping for random bonuses and maybe they'll pay more later, they will come up with a plan for how much they want to earn each month and what actions are needed to achieve this. Libras will review their rates, terms of cooperation, and cost structure. In February, they will refuse to play the role of a convenient specialist who agrees to average pay for the sake of peace and will demand what really corresponds to their level. In March, the career aspect will become more active. Libras will feel that their potential is not being fully utilized. They will begin to evaluate their experience not through the prism of modesty, but through their real contribution to the results. At this time, there may be talks about a promotion, attempts to take another position, and testing related areas. Libras will closely monitor the market, which professions are promising, which skills are in demand, where their set of qualities, diplomacy, the ability to listen, understand different sides, and negotiate, can bring a completely different income. March will be the month when they stop holding on to their jobs solely out of loyalty. April will push them to take concrete steps. Libras will no longer limit themselves to thinking. They will start submitting resumes, going to interviews, trying freelance projects, and launching their own small services or products. During this period, they will actively leave the I'm used to zone and enter the I want zone. April will show that when they start to act, rather than just analyze, people respond willingly. Feedback on their proposals, invitations to collaborate, interest in their ideas. Libras will see that their gentle but clear presentation and ability to explain complex things simply as a competitive advantage. May will focus on relationships and not just romantic ones. Libras will feel very clearly who is with them out of love and respect, and who is with them out of convenience, habit, or fear of loneliness. This month, they will be ready to raise topics they previously avoided: division of expenses, common goals, support in difficult moments. If their partner constantly puts their own interests first, while demanding that Libras maintain harmony, they will stop keeping quiet. An important criterion will be whether conversations end with constructive agreements or feelings of guilt on the part of Libras. They will begin to closely monitor whether their boundaries are being respected in the relationship. In June, the theme of home and everyday life will come to the fore. Libras will strive for a space where they can recharge, rather than constantly worrying about clutter, noise, or conflicts. During this period, decisions may be made regarding repairs, moving, changing living conditions, renovating the interior, or organizing their personal space. Libras will not put up with their home being a place where they only sleep and leave all their energy outside. They will create a supportive atmosphere, light, order, comfortable work, and relaxation areas. In June, investments in housing, even small ones, will have a strong psychological effect, a sense of support. July 2026 will sharpen their focus on health. Libras will begin to notice how their bodies react to stress, lack of sleep, emotional swings, overeating, or, conversely, irregular eating. This month, they will be focused on specific steps, making doctor's appointments, basic tests, changing their diet, and introducing regular activity. Libras will not throw themselves into strict diets or exhausting workouts. Their approach will be about balance. But even moderate changes, more stable sleep, more walking, less junk food, will quickly show results. July will be the point from which they begin to feel more energy for work and personal life. August will open a season of broadening horizons. Libras will be drawn to new places, formats, and people. This could include trips, vacations in different environments, participation in training sessions, forums, and networking events. In any case, their horizons will expand. They will see how others live, how those who have already reached the level of income and freedom that Libras have only dreamed of think. August will not be about envy, it will be about inspiration. Libras will begin to form a new internal benchmark. What is a normal quality of life for them? What standards are they willing to accept? And what role do they see themselves in the future? September will translate this inspiration into a more rigorous format. Libras will sit down to plan. They will break down big goals into specific steps, write down what needs to be done by the end of the year, complete old projects, undergo training, change positions, conclude new agreements, raise prices, put their documents in order, simplify their schedule. In September, they will stop living only for current tasks and will look at the year as a whole. Libras will form a roadmap with clear tasks for each month until the end of 2026. October will be particularly busy at work. It is in this month that Libras will feel that several important areas will converge at once: new proposals, responsible tasks, and the opportunity to prove themselves to management or clients. They will be fully engaged, but the difference from previous years will be that this time they will not have to do everything on their own. October will teach them to delegate some of their tasks, clearly formulate expectations, and set timeframes and requirements. For the first time, Libras will see how their organizational skills can bring results not only for others, but also for themselves, in the form of increased income, status, and visibility. November 2026 will be a month of testing their resilience. Libras will be approached with offers that they would hardly have refused before. Quick money, but under dubious conditions. Prestigious participation in projects that devalue their personal time, relationships that promise golden mountains, but require a complete abandonment of their own plans. Now the reaction will be different. Libras will learn to ask critical questions. What will I get? What will be required of me? What price will I pay for it? November will show how much they have grown. They will not jump at every opportunity, but will choose those that fit into their long-term trajectory. December will end 2026 for Libras in a completely different internal state than the one they will enter January with. They will look back and see how the logic of their decisions has changed. Instead of trying to please everyone and not rock the boat, they will begin to build a picture where their interests, goals, health, money, and relationships are at the center. They will notice how their income has changed, how their financial discipline has grown, and how their social circle has stabilized. December will not give the feeling that everything is done. It will give the feeling that the foundation has finally been laid on which to continue working without rolling back. Throughout 2026, Libras will take a different approach to issues such as compromise and fairness. They will stop seeing themselves as someone who has to constantly smooth things over at the expense of their own interests. Their new approach will be as follows. Compromise is possible when both sides are willing to give something up, not when one side gives in and the other only takes. This will affect their work, friendships, and personal lives. It will become easier for them to say, "This doesn't suit me," without feeling guilty. Libra's financial decisions in 2026 will become much more mature. They will stop lending money to people who systematically fail to pay it back, stop taking on other people's loans, paying for other people's mistakes, and participating in schemes where someone promises to take care of everything. Instead, they will start investing in things that will really change their lives: professional development, technical tools for work, comfortable housing, health, and small but regular investments in the future. Money will no longer be a source of shame for them. They will perceive it as a neutral resource that must be managed wisely. Personal life will also undergo profound changes. Those who have clung to relationships where they are not heard for years will be ready to ask tough questions in 2026. What does this union give me? Can I be myself, or am I constantly forced to play a role? Are there common values here, or are we only held together by habit and fear? Instead of empty promises, they will demand concrete actions. Where the partner is willing to work on the relationship, the union will move to a new level, with more honest conversations, transparent agreements, and joint financial and life decisions. Where only accusations and evasions are heard, Libras will make difficult but necessary conclusions. In working on themselves, Libras will discover a new quality in 2026, the ability to see decisions through to the end. Their eternal problem of choice, weighing options, and fear of making mistakes will gradually recede. They will learn to set a deadline, by what date they will analyze, and after that, they will make a choice and not return to it. This approach will reduce internal tension, less self-reflection, more consistent action. Another important change is Libra's attitude to time. They will see how many hours and days they spend maintaining the illusion of harmony where conflict has long been brewing. In 2026, they will more often choose honest conversation instead of silent irritation, concrete action instead of endless discussion. They will learn to value their time as a resource no less important than money. As a result, this year will be a period when Libras will cease to be hostages to their own need to please everyone and reconcile everyone. They will form a new role, a person who can weigh all the pros and cons, but is not afraid to take sides if it is necessary for their development. In 2026, their decisions will become clearer, their money more predictable, their careers more structured, their relationships more honest, their homes more comfortable, and Libras themselves calmer and more confident that their balance is finally based not on pleasing others, but on a real, sober concern for their own lives. Scorpio. In 2026, Scorpio will not move randomly, but like a strategist who has been studying the field for a long time and is finally starting to play at full strength. Where other signs will be satisfied with superficial changes, Scorpio will go deep into finances, influence, power over events, control over their own reactions. It will not be an easy year, but it will be a period when Scorpio will build positions that will work for them for a long time. Money, status, relationships, reputation. Everything will pass through a filter of rigorous selection. Either it provides a real resource, or it disappears from their field. In January, Scorpio will look at their own life with maximum sobriety. They will not start the year with promises, but will conduct an internal audit. In their head or on paper, they will write down where they have hidden energy expenditures, toxic work processes, unnecessary contacts, unjustified financial risks, emotional attachments that have long since lost their meaning. In January, they will decide that they will no longer drag along what exhausts them. The first to be reviewed will be working conditions and formats of cooperation where he is loaded more than he is paid. Scorpio will begin to set stricter boundaries, and this internal stance will immediately change the tone of communication with those around him. The willingness to suffer for the sake of peace will disappear. February will bring a focus on cash flow. Scorpio will feel very clearly that now is not the time to earn more at any cost, but rather to take control of everything that is happening with his finances. He will review loans, debts, obligations, and calculate how much actually comes in and goes out each month. This month, they may take drastic but calculated steps, closing old financial holes, refusing to spend money that keeps them in the illusion of status but does not add real quality to their life, negotiating terms with those to whom they owe something or who owe them. February will be the moment when Scorpio begins to transform their finances from chaos into a tool where every hryvnia has a function. March will reinforce the theme of influence through profession. Scorpio will assess how much their current activities correspond to the real weight of their personality. Where they have been kept in the position of a strong performer, they will begin to assert themselves as someone who is capable of managing, making decisions, and building strategies. They will not shout about it. They will simply take on the more difficult areas that no one else wants to touch and put them in order. In March, he will begin to receive the first signals that he is seen as a key figure. People will turn to him for advice. He will be entrusted with confidential information, and he will be invited to meetings where he was not previously invited. April will be the month when Scorpio begins to test new ways of earning money. They will see which of their skills are underappreciated in their current position and will try to apply them elsewhere. Consulting, specific projects, participation in closed agreements, where a tough analyst who can see the real risks is needed. In April, they will form a parallel financial channel that will allow them not to depend entirely on one source. He will not quit his main job right away, but internally, he will already begin to prepare a base for maneuver. If the conditions cease to suit him, he will have options. May 2026 will touch on the topic of personal connections, but not in a soft way, but in a strategic way. Scorpio will stop wasting themselves on relationships in which they are periodically turned on and turned off as needed. They will look to see who is truly by their side and who is only holding on to them as a source of emotions, money, or control. In May, there may be tough conversations where they will ask clear questions. What are we building? What are the real steps on both sides? Who is responsible for what? Where the partner is ready to engage in honest dialogue, the relationship will strengthen and reach a new level of trust and transparency. Where the response is manipulation, insults, and silence, Scorpio will begin to distance themselves, even if it hurts. June will shift the focus to the environment and space. Scorpio will keenly feel that the place where they live and work will either empower them or constantly exhaust them. This month, they will make decisions about preparing to move, changing offices, renovating their home, or creating a separate area where no one will have access without their permission. It will be important for them to have a space where they can recharge their batteries and think strategically. June's changes in space may seem minor on the outside: a new workplace layout, getting rid of unnecessary things, investing in time-saving technology. But they will give them a sense of control over reality. In July 2026, Scorpio will switch to the topic of physical endurance. High mental stress, constant internal tension, and control over processes will all require a strong body. They will begin to include workouts that build strength rather than just fatigue. Strength training, martial arts, and intense but well thought out programs. At the same time, they will pay attention to their sleep, recovery, and nutrition. July will be the starting point when they will perceive their body as a resource for long distances, rather than something that has to somehow endure. This will enable them to withstand stress, negotiations, conflicts, and busy periods without breakdowns. August will bring movement outward. Scorpio will have more contact with people outside their usual circle. Clients from other cities, new partners, representatives of related fields where someone with their character is needed, tough, attentive, principled. This month, there may be trips and participation in closed meetings where important financial or business issues are discussed. Scorpio will not seek to be the center of attention. They will choose the position of a quiet observer, drawing conclusions and waiting for the right moment to say a single sentence that will change the direction of the conversation. It is in August that the first contacts will appear that will give him access to another level of money in the future. September 2026 will be the month when Scorpio begins to consolidate what he has achieved. He will already have several different sources of income, a stronger position at work, and a more refined circle of communication. Now it will be important for him to put this into a system. In September, they will sit down to do some serious planning. They will plan a year ahead, set financial goals for each quarter, and determine which projects are worth scaling up and which are worth closing, even if they are still bringing in some income. He will take a cold look at efficiency. If a direction offers no prospects, he will leave it. September will give him the feeling that he is no longer drowning in a kilometer-long list of tasks, but is building a controllable mechanism. October will reinforce the idea of power through competence. During this period, Scorpio will become the one without whom important processes will not move forward. He will be involved in resolving conflicts, complex negotiations, and crisis situations. He will be the one who sees where people are playing double games, where resources are flowing, and who is working for themselves under the guise of common interests. October will give them the opportunity to secure the status of grey cardinal or official anti-crisis player. This will not always be comfortable, but it is at this time that their influence will become significantly greater than it has ever been before. November 2026 will link their influence and money directly. The rewards for participating in critical processes will be higher. Bonuses, interest, shares in projects, new contracts with conditions set out on paper. Scorpio will carefully read each point, make corrections, and refuse to agree to wording that could circumvent his interests. In November, they will no longer feel like a lucky person. They will clearly realize that every amount they receive is the result of their precise actions, courage to say no, quick reactions, and willingness to make unpopular decisions. December will end the year on a special note for him. Scorpio will look back on 2026 and realize that he has come this far, not as a passenger, but as the one behind the wheel. He will see his debts paid off, his financial cushion strengthened, his relationships reconfigured, new points of influence, and his professional position strengthened. December will not be a time for relaxed admiration of the results. It will be a period when they will coldly assess what worked and where there are still weaknesses. He will write down what mistakes he made, what decisions could have been made earlier, and lay the foundation for the next cycle. But from a different starting point, with a sense of inner strength that no one else will control for him. Throughout the year, the way Scorpio deals with conflict will change. Whereas before, he sometimes allowed his emotions to take control, in 2026, he will use tension as a tool. He will not rush into battle unless it is advantageous. They will be able to pause, wait for others to reveal their true intentions, and only then make their move. This will apply to financial disputes, family conversations, and behind-the-scenes games at work. Their strength will lie in seeing further than those who play short-term games. Scorpio's financial behavior will also become much tougher and more effective. They will stop giving money to people who do not know how to manage it, even if they are close to them. They will not get involved in schemes where roles and guarantees are not clearly defined. They will set their own rules. No one will have access to their resources without clear conditions. They will invest not in beautiful promises, but in things that can be calculated: education, tools, legally protected agreements, real assets. This is what will make 2026 different. Money will not be scattered. It will work. In relationships, Scorpio will stop playing the all-or-nothing game on an emotional roller coaster. They will be ready for depth, but only with those who are also ready to fully engage and take responsibility for the shared space. No more secret stories where they are the shadow partner. No more formats where they are kept in reserve. 2026 will make them more demanding of transparency, either honest terms or distance. This will apply to love, friendship, and business relationships. An important element of this year will be regaining control over one's own reactions. Scorpio will learn not to give the enemy the main advantage, the ability to control their emotions. They will react more calmly where they used to explode, and vice versa. They will become tougher where they used to pity and give a second, third, fifth chance. This shift will make them almost invulnerable to the manipulations that had worked on them for years. 2026 will truly be the best year for Scorpios, not because of the absence of problems, but because it is during this period that they will learn to use every challenge as a resource. Money issues will become a field for expanding influence. Conflicts will become a test of people and a selection of strong allies. And new opportunities will become a reason to take stronger positions rather than just earn once and forget. By the end of the year, they will reach a point where it will be difficult to move them from their chosen course. They will have a strategy, reserves, people who stand by them not out of inertia, but out of respect for their strength, and experience that will prove that they are capable of taking their life to another level, not with words, but with concrete results. Sagittarius. In 2026, Sagittarius will move forward as if all the delays of previous years were just a warm-up. What has long existed in the form of ideas, plans, and dreams of someday will finally begin to take shape in concrete decisions, projects, routes, and numbers in accounts. The year will not turn his life into a quiet corridor. On the contrary, there will be a lot of dynamics, changes, relocations, and risks. But it is at this pace that he will feel comfortable. Freedom of action, choice of directions, the opportunity to feel every month that the horizon is getting wider. At the beginning of the year, in January and February, Sagittarius will work on one important task: determining the main vector. He will stop spreading himself thin across 10 parallel ideas and honestly ask himself in which direction he really wants to grow. His own business, scaling up his current work, entering the international market, moving, a new profession, public activities, teaching others. During these 2 months, they will discard the unnecessary. January will bring the first symbolic closures. The end of cooperation that does not allow for development, withdrawal from projects that keep them in one place, and rejection of formats that prevent them from showing initiative and creativity. In February, he will increasingly look at the world map, at vacancies in other cities, at opportunities for online work, at training programs abroad. Internally, he will already agree that 2026 will be a year of great expansion. And this agreement will trigger a series of events. March and April will activate the professional sphere. Sagittarius will begin to test ideas that he had previously put off for later. He will submit applications, participate in selections, and send proposals for cooperation to those he considered unattainable. In March, he will receive the first responses, and among them will be not only rejections. There will be options, projects that require non-standard thinking and courage, vacancies that require travel, positions with the prospect of managing a team in another country or city. In April, he will no longer just dream, but choose which offers to accept. And this is where his intuition will kick in. He will sense where there is real growth and where there is just a slightly different version of his old life. May 2026 will bring the topic of money to the forefront. Sagittarius will begin to calculate not hypothetically, but specifically, how much they need to earn to cover basic expenses, how much to allow themselves travel, education, relocation, and a reserve fund. They will take an honest look at their financial habits, impulsive purchases, emotional spending, to make themselves happy. Generosity where no one appreciates it. In May, they will introduce new rules. Part of their income will be automatically set aside, part will be invested in development, and part will be spent on comfort. He will stop being shy about large sums of money and stop joking about money. The conversation will move to the realm of clear numbers, and this change in internal tone will open up other deals, other fees, and a different level of clients and partners for him. June and July 2026 will be filled with movement. Sagittarius will change cities, routes, audiences, and work formats. In June, the first real moves are possible, at least temporary ones, to a new location, to another country, to another area, closer to the people or opportunities that interest him. They will work more on the road, in cafes, co-working spaces, airports, and hotels. The familiar office format, if it remains, will fade into the background. In July, active communication will be added to this. Meetings with new clients, participation in conferences, forums, online or offline events. During this period, they will make a name for themselves as a person who combines big picture thinking, easy presentation, and bold decisions. August will be the month when Sagittarius will pay attention to their own authorial voice. They will realize that they can not only perform other people's tasks, but also create content, products, and formats on their own behalf. This could be a YouTube channel, blog, educational course, book, lecture series, public speaking. There are many options. But most importantly, they will finally feel that they have something to say to the world and are ready to say it regularly. In August, they will form their first concepts. What exactly will be at the center? Motivation, travel, business, development, success stories, working with beliefs, changing mindsets. They will begin to write down theses, write columns, and collect examples that will show that their experience and perspective are valuable to others. September 2026 will shift the focus to structure. For all his love of freedom, Sagittarius will understand that he won't get very far without a system. In September, he will build a schedule. When to shoot or write content, when to meet with clients, when to work on long-term projects, and when to rest. They will experiment with productivity formats, time blocks, focus sessions, digital planning tools. Their task will be not to drive themselves into a rigid cage, but to create a rhythm in which they can maintain a high pace and not deflate after a week. September will also show which areas will bring the greatest return, in terms of money, a sense of purpose, and feedback from people. October will bring an acceleration effect. Sagittarius will receive offers that previously seemed unattainable, participation in large projects, collaboration with well-known brands, invitations to speak at events as an expert, partnerships with people he himself once listened to or read. He will be in a situation where he needs to make quick decisions, agree, refuse, put forward his conditions. In October, they will begin to learn to say yes, only because it really strengthens their trajectory, not because it looks prestigious. This month will be a test. Are they ready to switch their life from take everything you are given mode to choose what fits my strategy mode? November 2026 will reinforce the theme of personal philosophy. Sagittarius will naturally think big, but this time his vision will gain even greater depth. He will clearly articulate what success, freedom, responsibility, and development mean to him. In November, they will begin to build their communication differently. They will not just give advice, but will show a systematic vision. People will be drawn to them not only for emotional motivation, but for clear frameworks and logic. This month, he may launch products or formats that combine life experience, practical tools, and a broader view of how the world works. December will end 2026 for Sagittarius with an energy of conclusions that will more closely resemble the start of an even greater cycle. He will look back on the path he has traveled and see that in 1 year, he has changed the way he earns a living, expanded his network of contacts, gained access to new markets, and become more visible, confident, and free in his choices. December will not force them to stop and enjoy their trophies. On the contrary, it will give them the feeling that they now have a platform from which to plan even bigger projects. Long trips with online work, the launch of international products, the creation of a team, moving to a country with better opportunities, and scaling their own brand. Throughout 2026, Sagittarius's basic internal attitude will change. Instead of, "there will be a chance someday," the formula, "there will be a chance now if I act," will work in their head. They will stop evaluating themselves from the position of, "I still lack knowledge," and will rely more on real cases they already have, successfully implemented projects, overcome crises, situations where they pulled themselves up from scratch. This confidence will not be empty. It will be based on experience and therefore will look convincing to those who work with him. Financially, 2026 will be a year of transition for Sagittarius, moving from unstable waves to controlled growth. Yes, there will be months with peaks, for example March, October, and November, when money will come in large portions. But the main difference this year is that there will be no void between the peaks. Thanks to several parallel areas of activity, main income, additional services, copyrighted products, and partnership projects, they will secure a flow that will allow them to plan expenses and investments in advance. They will begin to think not in terms of paychecks, but in terms of quarters and years. Sagittarius will also make adjustments in relationships in 2026. They will be less attracted to people who perceive them only as a source of emotional support and entertainment. It will be important for them to have people around with whom they can talk about plans, risks, money, development, and relocation. If they are already in a relationship, the year will gradually lead the couple to discuss their lifestyle, where to live, how to earn money, how to divide responsibilities, who is responsible for what. They will not want to move in a direction where their partner constantly slows down their initiatives or is afraid of every change. Where there is support and mutual movement, the union will strengthen. Joint travel, joint projects, joint decisions about money and location. Where there is only criticism and fear, he will take it as a signal to consider whether it would be easier to part ways. Another important theme of the year is Sagittarius's attitude to risk. In 2026, they will calculate their bets differently. They will not rush blindly into adventures, but they will not sit in their comfort zone either. For each opportunity, they will form a simple analysis. What will I gain? What can I lose? What will the consequences be in 3, 6, 12 months? Where the potential is great and the risks are controllable, they will act quickly. Where golden mountains are promised without actual guarantees, he will simply step aside. This approach will allow him to make several powerful bets in his career and business over the course of a year, which will become the basis for the coming years. Sagittarius will also change his approach to health and energy. It will be important for them not only to be emotionally uplifted, but also to maintain stable physical fitness. They will choose a form of exercise that can be combined with travel and heavy loads, running, functional training, a gym near home or work, exercises in hotel rooms, stretching, and breathing exercises. Sleep patterns will also become important. After periods of nighttime work marathons, they will come to the conclusion that quality sleep is one of the key tools for quick thinking and creativity. According to the prediction, 2026 will indeed be the best year for Sagittarius, primarily because they will finally begin to live according to their own logic. Not small tasks for the sake of survival, but large projects for the sake of growth. Not random earnings for today, but thoughtful steps for a year and beyond. Not someone else's scenarios imposed by the fear of those around them, but their own paths where there is room for work, travel, public roles, and personal development. Every month of 2026, in his case, will not be just a page in the calendar, but a component of a large trajectory that will take him out of his narrow framework into the life he has long thought about, but only now will be ready to put into practice. Capricorn. For Capricorn, 2026 will be a period when their pragmatic mind, endurance, and ability to work for results will translate into concrete power over events. According to the prophetic image associated with the name Sylvia Brown, it is this sign that will gradually move itself into a different league throughout the year. More stable finances, higher status, a clearer role in the professional environment, and a different level of confidence in the future. This will be a year when Capricorn will no longer settle for temporary solutions. Every step will have a strategic subtext. In January, Capricorn will be reviewing their commitments. They will be sorting through everything that has accumulated over the past few years. Unfinished tasks, eternal projects without an end, promises that no longer correspond to their current level. Working relationships that are held together only by inertia. During this period, they will not make any sudden outward moves, but will instead form a new internal framework. From now on, time and energy will only be allocated where there is a clear result. It is in January that an idea will emerge that will change the whole year. From now on, they will work not for the sake of just being busy, but for the sake of specific positions, sums, and long-term guarantees. In February, the focus will shift to the financial system. Capricorn will calculate how many stable sources of income they have, where the money comes in, and where it goes. They will review contracts, payment terms, old debts, credit lines, inheritance issues, everything related to money in a broad sense. In February, they will begin to form clear financial rules. No working in the red. No unjustified advances of trust to those who do not fulfill their obligations. No participation in projects without specified conditions. At this time, they will only agree to new contracts when they see real benefits and legal protection. March will be the month when Capricorn takes a serious approach to his role in the professional hierarchy. They will see if their duties and responsibilities match their position and salary. Where the gap is too big, they will prepare for negotiations, for a raise, expansion of powers, a change of position, or a move to another structure. In March, they will not be running around with their resume in a panic. They will calmly analyze the market and gather information about companies that value systematic, stable, reliable people who are capable of handling complex processes. This month will be the point from which he will no longer perceive himself as a cog. Wherever he works, he will be interested in the position of a person without whom the system will work worse. April 2026 will push Capricorn to formalize his influence. If before this, he unofficially performed the functions of a senior, coordinator, or silent leader, in April, he will demand that this be enshrined in positions, powers, and status. He will participate in the distribution of roles, build regulations, structures, and chains of command. Where there is resistance, they will firmly show that without a system, the company or project will lose money, reputation, and time. In April, it will become apparent that their voice will be listened to not formally, but genuinely. Because behind this voice will be concrete indicators. Tasks completed on time, no failures, and competent distribution of resources. In May, the topic of professional competence in the future will come to the fore for Capricorn. He will assess what skills he needs to remain confident in the market in a few years, managing complex teams, understanding financial instruments, technological literacy, knowledge of languages, and deeper expertise in his field. In May, they will plan their education not as an emotional purchase, but as an investment with a payback horizon. They will choose programs, certificates, and courses that will really raise their value as a specialist or manager. This is where the foundation will be laid, so that in the coming years, they will not be afraid of any market crises. June will be about space and support. Capricorns will think about housing, workplace, real estate, and material assets that will create a sense of stability. For some, this will be a decision to buy their own apartment or house. For others, a move to a location with better infrastructure. And for others, setting up a home office that will allow them to work calmly and deeply. In June, they will not be looking for luxury. They will be interested in things and spaces that will survive short fashion waves, things that will not lose their value. They will be ready to give up temporary pleasures for long-term stability. And this decision will later prove to be one of the strongest of the year. July 2026 will shift the focus to physical resources. Capricorn will begin to feel that the amount of responsibility and ambition requires a different kind of endurance. They will plan checkups, review their sleep schedule, and adjust their workload. They will realize that endless work days and the constant, "if you can handle it, then it's normal," attitude will no longer work. In July, they will build a routine so that they have enough energy not only to make it to the evening, but also to keep up a fast pace for a long time. This will affect nutrition, physical activity, and the ability to take short breaks throughout the day so that the brain and body have time to recover. August will open up a broader social horizon for Capricorn. They will go beyond their usual professional circle, meeting people from other industries, investors, entrepreneurs, managers, and experts. For them, this month will not be about easy, superficial contacts. They will be interested in serious acquaintances where interests, resources, and long-term plans intersect. August will be a time when one or two conversations will change the trajectory of the coming years. Partnerships will be outlined that will later translate into joint projects and the distribution of roles and responsibilities at a high level. September 2026 will be a month of systematic adjustment for Capricorn. By this point, they will have accumulated enough tasks, people, and processes to realize that without structure, they could lose control. In September, they will introduce clear regulations. Who is responsible for what, when tasks are to be completed, what the quality standard looks like, what is a priority, and what is secondary. They will implement digital tools for process control, planning, and accounting. It will be important for them that everything works according to clear rules rather than manual control. At this time, they will feel that they are no longer putting out fires, but managing an organized mechanism where every cog is in its place. October will bring Capricorn to the peak of their professional year. It is in this month that they will have the best chance to achieve what they have been working towards since the beginning of 2026. Get a promotion, head a department, secure a management role, legally formalize a business, or sign a large-scale contract. October will be full of negotiations, meetings, final agreements, and document signings. Capricorn will carefully read every clause, not allowing anyone to impose unfavorable terms. They will not seek compromises that would diminish their opportunities. They will be interested in deals where their contribution and risks are adequately taken into account. November will focus on consolidating what has been achieved. Capricorn will adjust internal processes to a new role. If it is a leadership position, he will form the core of the team. If it is a partnership, he will establish principles of interaction with the other party. If it is his own business, he will prescribe regulations, financial flows, and control schemes. In November, they will pay a lot of attention to documentation, legal details, accounting, and reporting systems. Their goal at this stage is to ensure that the level they have achieved is not a random leap, but becomes a new norm from which they will move forward. December 2026 will give Capricorn the opportunity to see how deeply his inner position has changed. He will analyze the year not in terms of it was difficult or easy, but in terms of the architecture of life, where his career is now, what his income is, what reserves he has, what his circle of people looks like, who he can really rely on, and what assets he has created. In December, he will allow himself a short pause to form a strategic picture for the next few years. Instead of a chaotic set of desires, they will have a structured plan in their head, what steps to take in 2027 and beyond, to consolidate and multiply what they have managed to start. Throughout 2026, Capricorn's financial behavior will change. They will stop perceiving money only as a means of survival or confirmation of success. For them, it will be a tool that needs to be allocated as carefully as they allocate their time. They will form several baskets: mandatory expenses, reserves, investments in development, and improving quality of life. They will avoid spontaneous large purchases, instead preferring transactions that will strengthen their position: real estate, equipment, education, legally transparent investment instruments. In relationships, 2026 will make Capricorns more attentive to how well a partnership fits into their life strategy. They will not close their heart. However, romance will no longer obscure the real facts. If they have someone by their side who supports their desire for stability and shares their approach to money, work, and responsibility, the union will grow stronger. Joint plans, a large joint project, possibly joint investments, decisions about housing. If, on the other hand, their partner constantly pulls them toward chaos, unplanned spending, and emotional swings, Capricorns will stop turning a blind eye. They will be ready to reduce their involvement in such relationships, even if it requires courage. Contacts outside the close circle will also change. Capricorn will spend less time on empty conversations and more on relationships where there is mutual benefit, respect, and the opportunity to build something together. They will develop a clear internal filter. Not everyone who asks for access to their time and attention will receive it. This will apply to acquaintances, business proposals, and any joint ideas that are not backed up by real actions on the other side. An important theme of the year will be Capricorn's attitude toward their own boundaries. They will no longer allow others to shift their responsibilities onto them just because they can handle it. At work, he will clearly define which tasks fall within his competence and which are attempts to take advantage of his reliability. In his family and personal life, he will speak directly about what is acceptable to him and what is not. This directness will not turn into rudeness. It will be cold, calm, structured, and precisely because of this, effective. 2026 will be the best year for Capricorn, not because he will suddenly find himself in ideal conditions, but because it is during this period that he will build the structures of his life that will begin to work for him. Career, finances, home, circle of friends, personal resources. Everything will gradually rise to a new level. And when they look back at the end of the year, the strongest feeling will not be fatigue, but calm. They will know that they are standing on a solid foundation that they themselves have laid, and that they will move forward not from zero, but from the position of a person who has weight, support, and a clear understanding of their path. Aquarius. The way 2026 unfolds for Aquarius will show that their unconventional thinking and rejection of stereotypes will no longer be perceived as strange. This sign will begin to set the direction where others are just getting used to change. Aquarius will move through the year as someone who is both ahead of the curve and keeps a cool head. They will see trends before they become obvious and use this not for chaotic experiments, but for precise, profitable decisions. In January 2026, Aquarius will be faced with the feeling that the old formats of work and life no longer suit them. The things they have adapted to in recent years will begin to weigh on them. Tight schedules, routine tasks, the expectations of those around them that they will settle down and remain in a familiar role. They will look at their projects, contacts, and way of earning a living and clearly understand that their potential is much greater than what is currently being realized. In January, he will take the first internal steps, not sudden resignations or conflicts, but cold formulations. What will definitely not continue after this year. This month will be the point where he will honestly tell himself where he is wasting his talent and where his ideas have already outgrown the existing framework. February will push him toward a more radical reassessment of the financial part of his life. Aquarius will calculate not only how much he earns, but also what exactly he is being paid for hours, for results, for a unique approach, for the ability to create new solutions. They will notice that in many cases they are paid as a regular specialist, although they are expected to come up with breakthrough ideas, take on additional responsibility, and be flexible. In February, they will begin to reject formats where one person does the work of three, but receives only one salary. They will test new monetization models, project fees, percentage of results, individual consultations, intellectual products, and licensing of their work. During this period, the idea that their brain is an asset that must be protected and sold correctly will become increasingly prominent. March and April 2026 will open up a space for innovation for Aquarius. He will be drawn into tasks that require non-standard solutions, digital products, online services, new learning formats, media, creative business models, and working with an international audience. In March, the first offers to participate in projects that go beyond the boundaries of their city or country will appear. Remote collaborations, startups, experimental platforms. They will not agree immediately. They will look to see where there is real substance and where there are only nice presentations. In April, they will already be making specific choices, joining initiatives where they are seen not as an executor, but as a co-creator of the system. At this time, they will begin to influence concepts, not just implementation. May will be the month when the themes of freedom and responsibility come into focus simultaneously. Aquarius will realize that freedom without structure turns into chaos, and structure without freedom turns into a cage. In May, they will realistically assess their resources and limitations, how much time they can invest in each area, which projects they will carry out alone and where a team is needed, which everyday obligations hinder scaling and which support it. They will not build the illusion that one person can do everything. On the contrary, in May, they will begin to think through a system of delegation. Who can be given technical tasks, who can be given routine tasks, and who can be teamed up with for mutual reinforcement. This will be the month when he stops playing the role of one against the world and begins to act as a person who constructs his own ecosystem. June 2026 will highlight the importance of space for Aquarius. He will clearly feel cramped in places where there is noise, chaos, and constant pressure from people who do not share his views and plans. During this period, they will think about moving, at least within the city, or changing the format of their living space. A separate room for work, a co-working space where proactive people gather, a new office, or their own creative space. He will start investing money in an environment where his brain will work more clearly. Light, air, silence, access to technology, fast internet, a comfortable workplace. June will show how much the quality of space affects his income and ideas. Each improvement will pay off in the form of new solutions, contacts, and offers. July and August will be months of maximum dynamics in communication. Aquarius will finally step outside the circle where they are used to explaining and proving their position. In July, they will actively expand their network of contacts, online events, specialized communities, professional forums, and groups where people who think about technology, business, creativity, and education in a new way gather. They will test various formats of participation: short speeches, joint live broadcasts, collaborations, guest articles, and participation in discussions. In August, their name will be mentioned more often in conversations among people looking for non-standard approaches. It is during this period that he may receive invitations to participate in projects where the core team is already formed. But there is a lack of someone who can make a breakthrough. September 2026 for Aquarius will be associated with deeper monetization of experience. By this point, he will have enough experience to stop selling only his time. In September, they will create structures that can operate independently of their daily presence: digital products, ready-made systems, service packages, training modules, proprietary methodologies, templates, and licensed solutions. They will think in terms of, this tool will generate income without being tied to my schedule, rather than an hour of work is worth so much. September will be the month when he lays the foundations for what will later be called passive or semi-passive income, but without any illusions. He will understand that this requires serious preparatory work. October will bring an emphasis on financial maturity. Aquarius will begin to treat money much more coolly and precisely. He will not spend large sums of money as soon as they appear. He will form a buffer, distribute profits by areas, mandatory payments, development, reserves, long-term goals. In October, he may have his first contacts with financial advisors, accountants, and lawyers who will help him structure everything he creates. He will be ready to study topics such as taxation, business registration, cost optimization, and legal ways to protect income. This month will take him from being a creator who earns something to being a person who manages the financial system around his ideas. November 2026 will be a period of deep filtering of people. Aquarius will see very clearly who is around because it is profitable, who is around because it is interesting, and who is around because they truly share his vision. They will not make a scene. They will simply change their distance. With those who constantly drag them into drama, resentment, petty conflicts, and contacts where there is no development, they will calmly reduce the frequency of communication. On the contrary, they will pay more attention to those who move, seek, and launch. In November, he will build the core of his circle, a few people with whom he can openly talk about money, ideas, plans, risks, without the roles of teacher, student, or savior, victim. This circle will become an important resource in the coming years. December 2026 will have a qualitatively different tone for Aquarius than previous Decembers. Instead of feeling tired from another strange year, they will feel that for the first time they have a complete structure in their hands. There are several sources of income. There is a formed space where it is comfortable to work. There are contacts with whom large projects can be started. There are clear financial rules. There are the first products or systems that will work without daily intervention. In December, they will not waste time on self-criticism for what they did not have time to do. They will look at what they have created and think in terms of the next 2 to 3 years, not the next week. Throughout 2026, Aquarius's basic decision-making style will change. Whereas before he often acted in bursts, a flash of enthusiasm, then a decline, a new idea, another leap. Now his movement will become more rhythmic. He will break down large tasks into specific stages and will not abandon them after the first resistance. Instead of phrases like "not now" and "later," his vocabulary will include phrases like "he will launch in March," "he will add in June," "he will finalize in September," and "he will optimize in October." This time-based approach will reduce the level of internal chaos. He will know approximately when things will happen and will not waste energy on pointless worries. Financially, 2026 will be a time of transition for Aquarius from smart but underrated to smart and highly paid. His uniqueness will cease to be just an interesting character trait. It will become something that brings in money. At first, this will manifest itself in the fact that his non-standard solutions will save time, resources, and money for others, employers, clients, partners. Then he will begin to record his participation in such results in contracts, interest, and fees. As a result, by December, he will have a completely different picture. Money will come not for the fact that he sat it out, but for the fact that he created systems, products, and concepts that work. In the sphere of personal relationships, 2026 will be a year when Aquarius will stop compromising his prospects in order to maintain comfort for others. If there is someone nearby who recognizes their need for development, does not laugh at their ideas, does not drag them into the past, but on the contrary, encourages them to take bolder steps, the union will become stronger. Joint projects will appear in their plans, possibly a move, starting a business, or education related to both. If the partner insists that everything remain as it was and perceives every new opportunity as a threat, Aquarius will begin to distance themselves. They will not make a drama out of it. They will simply choose the path where there is movement. Health and energy in 2026 will be instrumental for them. They will stop perceiving the body as something that has to withstand any load. Instead, they will build a regime for the brain. In order to think and create, they need sleep, movement, normal nutrition, and breaks. He will look for his format in different months. In March, he may try short workouts in the morning. In June, add walks or cycling. And in September, change his eating habits for a more sustainable energy level. He will not turn this into a cult, but he will see a direct connection between physical fitness and the ability to process large amounts of information. Another important change is Aquarius's attitude toward their own ideas. In 2026, they will be less likely to share their thoughts with those who tend to ridicule or steal them. Instead, they will learn to first record, formalize, and test their ideas, and only then share them. This will protect their inner fire and reduce the risk of disappointment. They will treat their thoughts as assets. Each concept is a potential product, project, direction in work or business, and must be handled professionally. 2026 will truly be the best year for Aquarius, in the sense that, for the first time, their inner speed, uniqueness, and breadth of vision will not be an obstacle, but a major advantage. Each month will reinforce this. January and February will bring clarity. March and April will bring new formats for implementation. May will bring a balance of freedom and responsibility. June will bring space. July and August will bring contacts. September will bring systems. October will bring financial maturity. November will bring a strong environment. And December will bring the feeling that he is finally living not in spite of his nature, but fully relying on it. And it is this configuration of events that will make this year the point after which his life will take a different trajectory. Not random leaps, but consistent growth where his uniqueness will be highly valued. Pisces. Pisces, who receive special attention in Sylvia Brown's predictions, will approach a period in 2026 when their inner sensitivity will finally begin to yield not only emotional impressions, but also very concrete results. Money, stable agreements, reliable relationships, and tangible professional growth. Where they often doubted, postponed decisions, and escaped into dreams before, now there will be clear steps, calendar dates, numbers, and agreements. Their intuition will not dissolve into chaos, but will work as a precise instrument that will suggest with whom and where to move forward. In January 2026, Pisces will clear the space around them. They will critically evaluate everything that has long been a burden to them: unsuccessful projects, unnecessary side jobs, commitments made out of pity rather than sound judgment. This month, they will begin to abandon the role of universal savior, who always has time and energy for other people's problems. Pisces will fulfill old promises, close long-standing cases, pay off small debts, and withdraw from obligations that give nothing in return. In January, they will form a new internal agreement for themselves. Resources will no longer be scattered on everything, but will be directed where there is a real return: financial, professional, or personal. February will bring them to a sober view of money. Pisces will start counting not approximately, but specifically, how much comes in each month, how much goes to mandatory payments, how much is spent impulsively, and how much can be redirected to reserves and development. They will draw up their own financial plan, even if they used to be tired of the very thought of tables and budgets. In February, Pisces will review the terms of cooperation, ask for fairer pay, and refuse orders that do not cover either time or nerves. At the same time, there will be a desire to create additional income, selling something, consulting, monetizing their own talent, writing, drawing, filming, teaching. February will be the month when, for the first time in a long time, they will feel that they can influence their financial flow rather than just adapt to it. March 2026 will turn their attention to their profession. Pisces will honestly consider whether their current job gives them the opportunity to grow in status, experience, and income. Where work takes a lot of energy but offers neither recognition nor prospects, they will start looking for a way out. In March, the first professional conversations are possible, with management about another position, with colleagues about joint projects, with potential employers about new conditions. During this period, some Pisces will change their approach to the very concept of work. Instead of, "I just do what I'm told," the formula, "I will bring specific value and want to have the appropriate level of freedom and pay," will appear. This will be the first step towards transitioning to other formats: flexible schedules, more creative positions, working directly with clients rather than through several layers of intermediaries. In April, Pisces' ability to create something of their own will come to the fore. This could be their own mini-business, an author's project, a blog, a YouTube channel, creative products, consulting activities, a course, a masterclass, or a small service. This month, they will feel a strong urge to stop hiding their gift. What they used to do for the soul, writing texts, drawing, helping people understand their emotions, sorting out complex life situations, will take on a form that can be offered for money. April will be a period when Pisces will develop the first formats of their services or products. They will describe what exactly they will do, for whom, and with what result. They will not radically change their whole life yet, but they will lay a second foundation, a parallel direction that can grow into a full-fledged source of income. May 2026 will bring the topic of relationships to the fore. Pisces will begin to look at their personal lives without embellishment. If there is a person next to them who systematically disregards their needs, ignores their plans, fears their growth, or devalues any changes, they will stop justifying such behavior. In May, they will raise questions. How expenses will be divided? Who is responsible for what? What are the common goals? What specific steps each person will take? Where the partner is ready to get involved, listen, and act, the union will become stronger. Common financial goals, decisions about housing, everyday life, and possibly a joint project will appear. Where the response is only criticism, pressure, and unwillingness to change, Pisces will distance themselves. They will realize that the price of smoothing over conflicts cannot be their own future. June will focus on housing and space. Pisces will strive for a place where they can not only relax, but also work productively, think, and create. For some, this will be a decision to move to another apartment or city. For others, it will be a search for options and preparation for a change of residence. And for others, it will be serious repairs, remodeling, and the creation of a separate work area. In June, they will invest money in things that improve the quality of their daily lives: comfortable furniture, lighting, time-saving appliances, and organization. They will feel that without a well-organized space, it is difficult to move forward in their careers and finances. This month will clearly show whether their environment will support their growth or hinder it. In July 2026, Pisces will focus on their body and health. They will monitor how stress, lack of sleep, eating habits, and a sedentary lifestyle affect their well-being. Fatigue, irritability, sleep problems, and decreased concentration. In July, they will set up basic self-care routines: regular sleep, a cleaner diet, water, exercise. Some Pisces will choose swimming, walking, simple exercise routines at home. Others will sign up for the gym or yoga. They will not strive for the perfect body. Their goal will be different: to have enough strength to withstand the changes that 2026 will bring to work, finances, and relationships. They will feel the first results in a few weeks: a clearer head, a calmer nervous system, and fewer outbursts at those around them. August will open up opportunities related to travel and learning. Pisces will be drawn to new cities, countries, cultures, and professional environments. These may be short trips, long business trips, participation in trainings and conferences, or online programs with international speakers. In August, they will feel that their inner map of the world is expanding, getting acquainted with other models of life, ways of earning money, formats of freedom. This will be inspiring, but at the same time it will prompt the thought: if others can combine work and movement, why should Pisces be stuck in one place? During this period, some of them will begin to consider options for remote work, relocation, or moving for at least part of the year. September 2026 will be a month of structuring everything that has already been started. Pisces will have several active areas on their hands at once: their main job, a personal project, new contacts, education, ideas for moving or changing their lifestyle. In September, they will sit down and prioritize these areas. What will bring the most income? What will provide the most growth? And what takes away energy without offering prospects? They will build a schedule: what tasks to complete Monday through Friday, what to do on the weekend, how many hours to devote to their own project, and how many to clients or their employer. September will be the moment when they stop acting solely on intuition and start relying on a plan that takes into account both creativity and discipline. In October, Pisces will see the results of the financial decisions made in the first months of the year. They will see an increase in income, where previously a lot of effort was spent for little result. Possible raises, larger checks for their services, more favorable terms of cooperation, the appearance of new clients from another segment, more conscious, solvent, loyal. In October, Pisces will react differently to money, without fear, without the feeling that they don't deserve so much. They will be quick to react when someone tries to lower their price and will calmly explain what exactly is behind their work. Hours, years of experience, nerves, and energy spent. This month will be one of the most vivid confirmations that their sensitivity and competence are finally being converted into concrete sums. November 2026 will strengthen their professional reputation. Pisces will be talked about more often as people to turn to when you need a thorough approach, empathy, and the ability to understand the intricacies of a situation. They will be recommended to friends, colleagues, and partners. They will receive requests not through cold responses to advertisements, but through live recommendations, the most valuable currency for any specialist. In November, they will feel more confident in the public sphere. Speeches, interviews, participation in joint projects, guest appearances. Their voice will carry weight, and their experience will be perceived as a source of benefit, not just an interesting story. December 2026. For Pisces will not be a break from life, but a moment of wise reflection and planning. They will look back on the months they have lived and realize how far they have come from where they were at the beginning of the year, from dependence on other people's decisions to the ability to set their own course, from constant doubts to greater confidence in their own feelings, backed up by facts, from chaotic side jobs to a clearer financial system with several pillars. In December, Pisces will form a picture of the next cycle, which projects to scale up, which services to raise in price, where they want to go, who they will give more space in their lives to, and who they will say goodbye to for good. Throughout 2026, Pisces' basic beliefs about themselves will change. Instead of, "I am too sensitive, it's hard for me in this world," another formula will gradually take hold. "I am sensitive, so I can offer others what they lack: depth, humanity, honesty. And for that, I have the right to receive decent pay and respect." They will not turn into cynical pragmatists. Their softness will not disappear. But this gentleness will be complemented by a solid foundation: boundaries, financial literacy, the ability to say no, and the ability to stand up for their terms. When it comes to money, Pisces will stop behaving like people who are happy with any amount. They will begin to analyze how much time, nerves, and energy each project takes, and whether it justifies the fee. They will not jump at the first offer that comes along. They will weigh whether it leads to the life they want to create in 2026, one that is freer, more stable, and more diverse. They will develop the habit of comparing not only the amount, but also the context, who they will work with, under what conditions, and with what prospects. It is this selectivity that will make their income cleaner and their life calmer. In relationships, Pisces will learn to sacrifice themselves less automatically. They will still respond to the pain of others, but they will not give their all. They will distinguish between when a person is truly ready to work on themselves and the situation, and when they are looking for another shoulder to lean on indefinitely. In 2026, they will say no more often in situations where they previously agreed out of a sense of duty or fear of losing contact. This will allow them to attract people who see them not only as a convenient psychologist, but as an equal partner. When it comes to health, Pisces will stop ignoring their body's signals. They will no longer put off visits to the doctor until later, or drown out their fatigue with coffee and sweets. 2026 will push them to get regular checkups, take preventive measures, and work on stress management. Some Pisces will discover self-regulation techniques, breathing practices, simple meditation exercises, walks without a phone, digital detox. This will not be about fashion. It will be a response to a real need to keep the nervous system stable in order to attract new opportunities. Their approach to their environment will also change. Pisces will stop clinging to everyone who appears in their field of vision. They will ask themselves more often, is it easier or harder to breathe with this person? Do they move forward or constantly turn back? Do they respect their plans or try to reshape them to suit themselves? Where the answers are negative, Pisces will not make any sudden moves, but will gradually reduce contact. Instead, more attention will be paid to those who inspire, support, share experience, and know how to speak honestly and without humiliation. Thus, 2026 will be a time when Pisces' natural depth, empathy, and intuition will be combined with practical steps, financial responsibility, and the ability to build their own life system. Each month will add a new layer. January, clearing away unnecessary commitments. February, financial planning. March, professional rethinking. April, launching a creative direction. May, honest conversations in relationships. June, caring for space. July, strengthening the body. August, broadening horizons. September, structure. October, income growth. November, strengthening reputation. December, strategic vision. And it is this collection of events that will make this year the strongest in their lives. A period when the dreamer will finally become the author of their own reality.